Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chi-Town Sports Podcast. I'm joined with Ben, of course. Got a long episode for you today. First one in a while. Of course, the last episode was a little bit botched. Going to start off with some college basketball, move into Masters, NFL football this weekend, and a little bit of college football to end it off. Going to start off with my Final Four picks and some reasoning to them. If you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you do. My Twitter is BradHuz_30. Or just look up Brad Huseby with a little Chi-Town Sports logo. As my profile picture, Villanova, Illinois, Iowa, and Gonzaga were my top four. Now, of course, these teams will not all make it. The Final Four is so unpredictable. You saw Loyola in 2018. There's always some lower seeds in there, some mid seeds. Baylor and Creighton round out my top six. But those are just six teams I'd say to look out for. And no one really makes Final Four picks because you know that's not really going to happen. And there's 64 teams, and any 64 team could honestly make it. Ben, who are your Final Four picks?
Illinois, man, I'm not going to put them in my Final Four. I know you have. Io, Disum, no. Tough name to say. But their team just wasn't good enough last year for me to think they're going to take that big a leap. And so for that reason, I think Iowa is actually a Final Four team. Not saying they will make it, but I do have them, including also Villanova, Gonzaga, returning Joel Ayayi, and Corey Kispert.
And Filip Petrovich.
Oh, I thought he was going to, like, Serbia or whatever.
That's what I thought, too.
Oh, okay.
Let me look up his name just to double check.
Filip Petrusev? I thought he was gone.
Withdrawals from NBA draft. Ex-Zags forward.
See, yeah.
Strong start to his pro career in Serbia. You're right. So hold up. So let me get this right. He went to Serbia to play, and then he was going to the draft, and now he's not doing either? Or now he's just going to play in Serbia for another year and then go to the draft
instead of Gonzaga, which is just mind-boggling.
That's
especially considering
he was like a mid-second round pick, and if he comes back, they win the title. He's a late first rounder.
Yeah, exactly. And their team's still very good without him, but he would have rounded them out so well.
Hey, I'll say this: I've been saying Villanova's going to win it all, but with him, probably an All-American. Might not even be their best player on their team. Of course, Corey Kispert is poised for a breakout year.
All-American.
Supposed to be a top 5 player in college basketball. CBS Sports has him as their number 9 player going into the year. That would be huge. You know who CBS Sports has ranked ahead of Corey Kispert, Ben? This might shock you. Colin Gillespie, the unranked point guard from Eastern Pennsylvania, who's now the senior.
Reminds me of RQDiakin a little bit. Just gonna say.
Oh yes, he does. Averaged 15.1 points per game last year, and should see even more opportunity with Sadiq Bey, affirm that he will be leaving the Villanova basketball team.
And then that brings me to my next Final Four teams, which are Villanova. That's a top team this year. I know they're not top in the AP poll, but I think they're one of the best teams in college basketball. Jay Wright's doing a great job there, obviously.
I think he's
Butler
great as coach.
Or Baylor. I'm confusing it because Jared Butler is returning, which is huge news. One of the best players in the Big 12 last year. And that's just going to give them – I mean, they're returning 4 to 5 starters, I think. So that's a team to watch out for. And my last team to watch out for, Creighton. Last year, ended the season so hot. I remember Michigan beat them early in the year, and that win looked so good by the end of the year. I didn't think it would, but it did. So I think Creighton's a team to watch out for. Marcus something or other.
Zagorowski, 3-point shooting, big man, absolute beast. I will say something though, Creighton, Ben, going into the year, they were ranked 7th or 8th in the preseason Big East polls. This year, they're not ranked first anywhere. Some teams have them 3rd, which I think is stupid. An array of teams ahead of them. They thought, well, as I'm saying it is these sports writers and whatnot, rankings makers, AP poll people, coaches from around the country. Ben, how do you go on this run that Creighton went on last year that was completely unexpected? Sure, they started the year a little hot, a little slow, ended the year hot. They did lose to Seton Hall in one of the best college basketball games.
Oh my God.
Such a great game. And that was like the last game I think of Big East regular season play before the St. John's. St. John's played someone. Remember?
DePaul?
It might have been DePaul. I think it was Paul because I was watching for Paul Reed, the power forward. I think his name's Paul Reed, right?
It's Paul Reed, yeah.
Paul Reed had a great first half. I remember that game. There was a picture of the St. John's mascot just sitting there. It was hilarious. And that kind of sums up the start of everything. Canceled the game mid-game and then botched the tournament, and then everything else got canceled. But yeah, I'm not sold on Creighton. I think that I was getting to that. It took me a while. Went off direction a little bit. I have Creighton 6th.
I had them 5th.
Gonzaga, such a complete team. Depth-wise, I don't know if they have it. They had their best recruiting. They had their best recruit ever in Jalen Suggs, 5-star, top 10 ranked player on pretty much every single site that you can find recruiting basketball. Rankings
Teammate of Chet Holmgren, who's now the number 1 player in the 2021 class, 22 class.
Most likely also going to go to Gonzaga, which is interesting. Gonzaga, Minnesota, UNC, big players there. Iowa, of course, Luke Garza, West Camp. West Camp, I feel like he's been in college, but they're always those small
Jordan Bohannon. Jordan Bohannon's felt like he's been
but West Camp too. I feel like they've been there forever. They're also, I know West Camp's from Iowa, which just makes it an even better story. I don't know if Buchanan is. Illinois, DeSumo, Adam Miller coming in, Coleman Hawkins coming in, Kofi Cockburn, Trent Frazier, another one of those point guards that's been there
for a while.
Has been there for a while. A lot of those guys, I think college basketball is loaded this year. Villanova, of course, had to put them in. I think they have the most depth out of any team in college basketball. Baylor, number 5, Creighton, number 6. Baylor, Jared Butler, but they have some quick guards. But other than that, they don't have any solid big men, Ben. They went to the draft. They aged out, yada, yada. But in the end, when it comes down to March Madness, you need those big men. For Michigan in 2018, Mo Wagner. Villanova, 2016, Daniel O'Sheffer. UNC was 2017, correct? Or am I tripping?
You're correct.
Kennedy Meeks and number 11, he went to the Clippers. Bryce Johnson, I think he left in 2016. I'm not completely sure. Tim says Bennett winning by a lot. Tim will get to that. We'll tell you guys what Tim is talking about. But yeah, we talked about notable players, Final Four picks. One other thing on our agenda today, Ben, is the Michigan versus Nova basketball debate. Because Nova, they used to be a D1 team, got caught up in some trouble in the early 80s, mid 80s. So I don't know if you know that, Ben, and the viewers, if you're wondering, Villanova was actually Division I. Pretty good football team. Howie Long, current Fox Sports analyst, father to Kyle Long, and Chris Long, was a very good Division I player, got drafted, is in the Hall of Fame, played on the Raiders, had a great career. He played at Villanova legend, but Villanova moved down to the FCS due to reportedly some donor bought someone a car. Now, I know TCU and all these SEC schools and even Michigan do this in some sneaky ways, but
you got caught.
The Michigan-Nova football debate is not there. Michigan is better than Nova in football, but the Michigan-Notre Dame debate is a good one. But for college basketball, Michigan-Nova is a really good debate. I mean, in 2018, we saw what happened. Nova blew them out. And this year, I think they could honestly play in the tourney.
I think Michigan's underrated right now. I'm just saying.
I think they're good. I think they'll be. I mean, they have such a hard schedule. They will be playing Iowa and Illinois both twice, correct?
Yep. Michigan State's really good. I mean,
but Villanova, boy, do they have a good hard schedule too. I'm gonna pull it up just so I don't say anything wrong here. I know they play the 25th when it opens. They play Boston College. In Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. That was supposed to be in New York at the 2K Empire Classic with North Carolina State, Baylor, and someone else. I forget. It might be BC. But if they win this BC game, guess who they're going to be playing, Ben? Baylor. Villanova Baylor is going to be on Thanksgiving Day. of course, if they both win, but that's the championship game of their 4-team mini bracket. I'm excited for that, Ben. I am excited for that game.
Looking like it's a team like showdown between two Final Four contenders. So
now, Villanova last year, early in the year, was playing a tournament in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They faced off against Baylor in the championship. Lost the game by a few. I think it was 9 points. I forget the exact score. It was basically a year ago. In 2016, they got blown out by like 30, 40 points in Hawaii to Oklahoma, the Buddy Hield-led team.
that was a
In the Final Four, Villanova played
Killed
Buddy
him.
Hield in Oklahoma again. 45 points. That was the game that made me believe Villanova is a blue blood. And Villanova is a team of the future. Of course, they won one of the greatest college basketball games I've ever seen in North Carolina 2 days later on that special Monday night. And then the rest is history. So that will be interesting. Michigan, yes, very underrated. We touched a lot on Villanova there. Isaiah Livers. Ben, I'll let you talk about Michigan.
So Michigan, we were interested to see how like the draft process would play out with Isaiah Livers. He ended up pulling his name out, which I think was the right call. He needs to just develop a little more, and he's going to be an all Big Ten player, I think, senior year. When he's healthy, he's a very good player. He can shoot, he can score, he can defend. He's just a very good player. Franz Wagner, sophomore year, brother of Mo Wagner, both from Germany, and he's an NBA prospect. I'd say. I wouldn't say like he's gonna expect to go in the draft, but I think if he improves his game, he could. And then we also Eli Brooks. We brought in from Columbia, Mike Smith. He went to Fenwick, averaged 22 a game at Columbia, so that hopefully shores up our point guard worries without Xavier Simpson.
Juwan Howard can recruit. I'll say that.
And the recruiting class for not this year, next year's recruiting class just got
2021
Caleb
class.
Houston, number
Current
one
season.
on ESPN's recruiting rankings right now. So
It's pretty nuts. Yeah. Two good teams this year. Also, I was talking about Villanova's strength of schedule. They will be playing at Texas on December the 6th. And versus Virginia, I think at a neutral site on December 19th. I think that was supposed to be in New York, but I'm not completely sure. Tim said Pat in the bunker will move on to the Masters, which Tim is talking about. Earlier this week, Ben and our good friend Timothy Wheaton, who joined the show and has been a guest multiple times here, decided to put a little wager on some fun Masters action. We all picked 3 players doing a snake draft format. I don't have it on me right now.
I can tell you what the picks were if you want, but
Yeah, Ben, how about
basically
you?
Brad started off with Bryson DeChambeau. If
the
anyone
number one
follows
pick.
golf, Bryson DeChambeau is the talk of the sport. Put on about 45 pounds and increased his driving distance. He drives the ball over 400 yards.
Absolutely not.
If he tries, so he is the face of the sport right now. Brad went with him. Tim goes with a guy named Brooks Koepka, who's won a lot of tournaments, very good player. I take 2 players. I take Dustin Johnson, world number 1, and then I take John Rahm, world number 3. Tim comes back with Rory McIlroy, who I'm sure even casual fans know that name. He's won a bunch of stuff.
A worldwide name.
And Brad goes with Justin Thomas. And who
He's
is your
playing
other pick?
great right now.
He is playing. He's a great player. He's the world number 2. He's really
In
good.
third place.
Who was your
7
third
under.
pick, Brad?
My third pick was Xavier Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele. I always say Xavier, very consistent, has placed top 5 in the last half of the tournaments he's played.
He's due.
currently under 5. I thought he was due as well, Ben. I think
He's due. I thought it was a good pick by
A
Brad.
tournament like the Masters is where these guys who are consistent get that win or get that top 3 performance that puts them over the edge. Green jacket or not, I think a top 3 would really cement himself as a face of this game, and just boost him.
He's a known player in the golf world, but not really. People don't really know Xander Schauffele outside of the golf world because he hasn't actually won any major tournaments, and he's a really good player. He deserves it. And I went with a guy named Patrick Cantlay with my last pick, who's kind of in the same boat. He gets a lot of top 10s. He actually won the last tournament before the Masters, which is why I picked him as my last pick. And he's a top 10 player in the world. Both Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are. And hopefully one of them breaks through here. Patrick Cantlay's in second right now, or third. Dustin Johnson's tied for first. So those are two of my picks.
Is currently in third, yes.
So the way we're doing this format is we're gonna take the places of the three guys we picked, and we're gonna like see which average is the best.
So if you have, let's say, and we're only counting Saturday and Sunday, so your three guys have to qualify. Now we could pick any kind of 9 guys we wanted, so I assume they all do. If one doesn't, then you're kind of screwed. And Tim, one of Tim's picks is not looking that great. I forget his name though. I think it was Rory.
Well, Rory wasn't looking great, but he's actually going really low today, so he's gonna make it. He's having a really good day. Yeah, he's 500 today.
Not really looked. But yeah, so let's say you're the first, second, and third place guy on Saturday and Sunday. Your average would be 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. I don't know, 4, I guess. But that's not gonna happen. It's very unlikely to happen. But yeah, that's what we're going for. Lowest average score. I think it'll be fun. Fun little wager.
We're gonna see how it goes.
Who do you think will win, Ben? I want to hear your top 3. I have mine. I'll let you go first though.
The tournament. Who do I think will win the tournament?
Yes, and then
I think that Dustin Johnson will win this tournament. I'm not lying about that. The Dustin Johnson this year has been the best golfer in the world, and you have to the Masters. Dustin Johnson has been better than him this year. I know Bryson's added a ton of distance to his game.
And it might have been because of quarantine. Maybe pre-quarantine he wasn't like that, which I think he was.
Bryson's won 2 tournaments this year. One of them was the U.S. Open, which is a really major tournament. Dustin Johnson's also won 2 tournaments this year, but he's also come in the top 5 of a ton of tournaments this year. If you look through his results, the guy is
pick, correct?
He's
You picked him second overall.
I picked him off 3rd overall.
That's a good pick. Who was his second?
Tim went with Brooks Koepka, which
that's not bad.
It's not bad. Brooks Koepka, but
and Tim's watching to the chat hearing this criticism.
And Dustin Johnson's only won 1 major in his career. He's like 36, 37. He's won like 25 tournaments. And that ratio, 1 to 25, is kind of weird because normally if you've won that many tournaments, you're going to win a few other majors. Like Brooks Koepka's won 4 majors and 9 tournaments. So I guess maybe Dustin Johnson's not a major player, but I'm hoping this is the week.
He's playing pretty major right now, Ben. He's playing pretty major right now. Now, it is not the finals, the Grand Saturday and Sunday. That's on CBS and is as memorable as anything. But yeah, my picks, I'll give it to up 3. It'll probably be Dustin Johnson. I think Bryson's going to turn it around. I really do. I think he's due for a top 3. I don't know if he's due for a win. Of course, he just won the U.S. Open, and Dustin's playing out of his mind. I think Bryson will finish 2nd or 3rd. And I think Xander will also finish 2nd or 3rd. So Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau in the 2 or 3 spot, and then Dustin Johnson taking it home for Team Ben. Doesn't mean he wins the whole thing, though. We'll let you know what happens. And Brooks just bogey no good. Thank you, Tim. Let's move on to NFL before we touch on college football, Ben. The NFL, of course, had a pretty not-so-good Thursday night game. The Colts-Titans, it was close at first. Titans had a lead for pretty much a good majority of the first half. That completely vanished in the second half. Phillip Rivers had a very good game, 29 for 39, 308 yards and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, the rookie wide receiver from USC, post mini injury, put up 7 receptions for 101 yards. Might be a waiver claim.
He has a YouTube channel.
Out there for one of us. He does have a YouTube channel. Greg, my younger brother, is a big fan of it, and I've watched a few of his videos. Ben might too.
I actually have not. I've seen him.
Okay. Texans-Browns, our first game, which does not have odds on ESPN. That's odd. Washington football team versus the Detroit Lions also does not have odds. That game will be played in Detroit. Here we go. Now I see the odds. For the other games, Jaguars, Packers 13.5. You know, people don't care about the odds because the odds are always fluctuating and changing on different sites and apps and whatever. Green Bay, I think they're winning. Ben, do you agree?
Green Bay, yes.
Rainy day in Lambeau though. Cold might be.
Someone bet. I'm thinking $99,000 that Green Bay would beat the Jaguars. If they get that bet, they get a $9,000 profit. So they're betting $99K on the $9,000 profit. That seems just stupid to me. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Eagles, Giants, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. This is actually a very important game. If the Giants can win this, I think they go first in the NFC. Not completely sure though.
No, they would still be.
No, but they have the win against.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
The
it'll
NFC
change.
East, man.
The
Oh
NFC
my
is
god.
terrible. Buccaneers, Panthers. Pretty certain the Buccaneers will win that. Christian
Bounce back.
McCaffrey ruled out. Broncos, Raiders. Ben, who you got there?
I got Vegas there. I think the Raiders are a pretty good team this year.
I got Vegas as well. Drew Lock dealing with a bunch of injuries as well as Noah Font, Philip Lindsay, and Melvin Gordon. Chargers, Dolphins. I like the Dolphins here. Dolphins are 5-3, a sneaky 5-3. With Tua leading the charge. I still think Tua is not going to be as good as Herbert and Burrow, even though they just put off a big win against the Cardinals, which was a statement win for sure. Chargers are probably the best 2-6 team or any team under 500. But I don't think this is their year. I don't think it's terrible if the Chargers get Penny Sawu, Justin Herbert's left-hand man, because he's his left tackle, of course. That would be dangerous. Bolster that O-line. They already had the wide receivers in Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and company. They have Austin Eckler, who's been hurt pretty much the whole year. And they have a very solid defense with Joey Bosa leading that. Draft some defensive guys, some DBs, safeties, and bolster that O-line. They'll be a dangerous team coming out of the West, or I should say the NFC.
I think.
Wait, no, they're in the AFC. What am I talking
They're
about?
in the AFC West. I think the Chargers steal this game. I think they're due for a win. I know that they're a good team. I think the Dolphins are a great team this year. I'm not lying. Good.
Only 1.5 odds for Miami.
I know, and I think the Dolphins are a good team. Brian Flores has done a great job so far. Kind of reversing the trend of Belichick's assistants when they go to become their own head coach. Normally they struggle. Brian Flores seems like he's on the right track, but I think that the Chargers are due for a win, so I actually would pick the Chargers here.
Good to know. Bills, Cardinals, maybe the best game of the weekend. I don't know. Arizona favored by 2.5. If Josh Allen played like he did last weekend, I think the Bills win this
Brad's
game.
upset. He let him go in fantasy. If that's what happens.
I need to say something, and especially for Tim. I made a trade earlier in the year with my little brother, which was Dalvin Cook. Patrick Mahomes leaving my team, and I acquired Dalvin Cook. When I drafted Patrick Mahomes 21st overall, I said we had a fantasy football party. We were spaced out, don't worry. And I said, I'm drafting Patrick Mahomes for trade bait. I want you guys to know that he's worth a lot in trades. Before the season started, I made this trade. I got ridiculed. I got called a cheater, a scammer, and whatnot. But the point is that the trade was made. Pretty much every other trade I made at least 5 or 6. Have all been not bad for me, but pretty even for both teams, if not better for the other team. We can talk about a trade I did with Ben recently, but we're already 23 minutes through, and I don't know if the viewers care to hear that.
Yeah.
And I have class for 10 minutes. But I made a trade with my little brother again. I acquired Patrick Mahomes, and I gave up Jamison Crowder, James Conner, and Josh Allen. Not a good trade for me. So I just want to let that out there. Josh Allen was a part of my team. And he's having a monster year. Nearly 2,600 yards passing with 19 touchdowns in the air. And a couple hundred yards rushing and a few touchdowns on the ground. Seahawks, Rams, another really good game. Rams are favored by 1.5. Ben, I'll let you take the floor for this one.
Seahawks, Rams. I picked up Cooper Kupp in fantasy. I think that'll be a shootout. Those two teams. The Rams have a good defense, but the Seahawks offense, when clicking, is really tough to stop. And I think the Rams take this one. I think the Rams are the best team in the NFC West. NFC West.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very good conference. That's the best conference in football. And I think the Rams, sleeper Super Bowl contender this year. That's
not a bad pick, I will say. In 2020, anything can happen. And of course, things like this are happening in every single sports league. 49ers, Saints. Saints are favored by 9.5. Going into the year, this was one of the marquee matchups. Niners have just been injury-riddled. Eagles, Bears, and Niners have probably been hit the worst. As the Bears are starting pretty much undrafted bums on their O-line. But I have the Saints winning, and they're favored by 9.5 in Vegas. Bengals, Steelers. Steelers win this game. Not a debate. It's going to be a rainy 60-degree day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Shout out Robert Spillane. Ben, you have the Steelers winning? I assume you do.
I have the Steelers winning, although I think the Steelers will lose a game pretty soon.
I do. I back that. I agree with that. Ravens, Patriots. Baltimore is favored by 7. I think the Ravens win. Ravens are not playing amazing though. Need to get that out there.
The Patriots just don't look good this year, though.
Patriots don't look good this year, and it's week 10. If they wanna get in the minds of me and Ben to win the Super Bowl, they need to show some good.
They need to
Some
beat the
good
Ravens.
offense, especially their defense is always solid. But offensively, they need to make some changes, I think. Or Lamar needs to step it up. Only 1,500 yards passing and 12 touchdowns in the air. Not even 500 yards rushing and only 3 touchdowns on the ground.
The Ravens' passing game has been about as bad as any
Abysmal
passing game.
And
terrible. I dropped Marquise Brown in fantasy because of that.
I don't think that was fun.
Doesn't get any
I didn't know he was dropped, so I picked him up. Vikings favored by 2.5. I think the Bears could win this. The Bears have more talent, but the offensive line, man, Ryan Pace. I'll give you one more year, but if you don't do anything in free agency, if you don't do anything in the draft, Quentin Spann, one of the best guards in all of football, is just on the free agency right now. And the Bears aren't even looking at him, which I think is a complete joke. That's besides the point. Ben, who do you have winning Vikings Bears? Then we'll move on to college football.
I have the Bears winning. I think we'll finally break this 3-game losing streak. I think even though this ESPN had a list of their beat writers predicted how the rest of the season would go, and the Bears guy Jeff Dickerson was basically like, this offense is too bad for this team to make the playoffs. So I agree with him, but I think we will beat the Vikings.
I honestly think we put in Mitch. I've been pro Nick Foles for so long, but it's time. We got to give Mitch a shot. If Mitch can lead us to a 700 or 650 winning percentage in these last 6 games, I don't know. Let's see what he can do, because Nick Foles, we know what he can do. I say we keep Nick Foles and either draft or sign a new guy. But Mitch is pretty much out of Chicago. I don't see why we'd resign
that
him.
Pick, man. Oh my God. Ryan Pace put his career on that pick.
And traded up.
For one, we don't even have to go over it.
Yeah, it makes me irritated every single time we touch on it. It makes you probably irritated too, and as well, Tim listening. Makes every Chicagoan mad, honestly. Herm Edwards, head coach of Arizona State, tested positive for COVID-19 earlier today. West Coast is riddled with COVID right now, and the Pac-12 is showing that. The Pac-12 had half of their games canceled last weekend, and one more canceled this weekend, that Arizona State-Cal game. California yet to play a game and will have to wait another week. Looking like they're only going to be playing 4 games. Is that sad or what? I just feel terrible for them. They were a good team. They were a sleeper team out of the Pac-12. Chase Garbers is a great quarterback with some great NFL talent, I think.
4 games is just, that's so embarrassing. That is not a season.
Not a season, no. Cincinnati, East Carolina, the only notable matchup tonight.
How much does Cincy win by? I mean, that's the question.
It's 28 in Vegas. We'll see. We'll talk about Michigan a little bit, but I want to talk about how this might be the worst weekend of college football games, other than the stupid week 1 or just the Army-Navy game, which is a classic game. But this might be the worst when all the conferences are playing. This is definitely maybe the worst weekend. The best game, honestly, the Virginia Tech Miami, Notre Dame Boston College, Northwestern Purdue will probably be the closest with decent teams. If Michigan, Wisconsin, 2 blue bloods, but Graham Mertz is going to play with no practice. Wisconsin's team is going to be playing with no practice. So if Michigan wins, it's not even really a win, because you're playing against Notre Dame gave out 26 points to Florida State without tackling for 2.5 weeks. Just that game doesn't really count, because look what Notre Dame just did against Clemson. I don't know. It frustrates me that Michigan might be getting a win there against the top 15 team in Wisconsin. But Ben, what's going on with Michigan? I know we talk about it every single week on the show, and we talk about it every single day via the phone and whatnot. I think it's time for Jim Harbaugh to go. I really think it's time. This week is just.
If
they lose to a Wisconsin team, and I know we say this every week, if they lose to Indiana, if they lose to Michigan State, if they lose to a team that has not practiced in 2.5 weeks with a maybe 4th-string quarterback, bad.
I'm hearing you. And I'm not convinced we're going to win. I have not been happy with ever since Minnesota.
You pay Brent Venables the bank. You pay one of these really good OC or DCs the bank. I say they come. If I'm Brent Venables and the Michigan job is open and wanting me, you've made all your money already as a DC. You don't have to take it for the money. You can always go back as a defensive coordinator somewhere and do fabulous, I think. Still young. Now his kids do play on Clemson and do actually get good playing time. So maybe he wants to wait a few years until they leave. But I'm pretty sure Venables should take a job here shortly. Now, I understand if you're a coordinator and you're balling out at your job, you want to stay there. He's getting paid good money. And he knows he's the best defensive coordinator in college. And will he be the best coach? I don't know. I don't think so. But that's something I think all these good coordinators want to try out. Look at Vic Fangio. Went to the Broncos. Isn't really working out. He would have, of course, he's old. He's been a DC for so long. But I get what these coordinators want to do, and I don't blame them. And I think Michigan would love to have Brent Venables. Ben, would you love to have Brent Venables?
I think that Michigan, yes, I would. We need a change of scenery. Jim Harbaugh brought a brief glimpse of hope to Michigan. He brought a lot of just success from previous jobs, but he didn't get it done here. And I think he kind of is backing away from the challenge at this point. He said he was open to an NFL return. I think that Brent Venables, the Michigan job is still one of the better jobs in college football if it opens up.
Yeah.
And the fan base is great. They get a lot of support. I just think that we need a change. That's all I can say.
Well, Ben, I appreciate you being honest. Ben and I have class in about 4 minutes, so we're going to have to head off. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, share, do all that. And we'll see you in the next episode. This was a really good episode, and hopefully we can have some more like these in the future. Peace.